This is Trinity Storm and you are watching third part of What If Naruto and Hinata were kidnapped by Raikage. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Kumo Forum Tower, Day 1000. On the highest platform, the fourth Raikage looked proudly at the military parade, which displayed the Kumo's growing might and power year after year. There were 15 battalions of 1,000 ninjas in front of him, marching one by one towards the Kumo Forum. They were followed by Kumo's most recent war machines. Finally, the Golden Horn Force, the best of the best. The Kumo leader devised this parade idea 3 years ago, after Naruto gained access to the Kyuubi's power. It was done to appease his ego as well as the council's and to solidify councilor support. It also increased everyone's patriotism, including slaves. The majority of the villagers and slaves must attend the forum to commemorate the Kumo Foundation Day. Hinata, Kuretsuchi, Sayuri, and Asuka were all sitting in the slave section, and when the Hyuga looked up, she could see Naruto-kun standing on a platform of the forum tower. When the entire military formation was complete, all shinobis and kunoichis stood to attention and saluted, while all villagers and slaves rose from their seats and bowed deeply. The thunderous salute of "All hail Kumogakure no Sato." Mayday and his councilmen smiled. "Aren't they magnificent?" Tamaya exclaimed. He was the counselor in charge of the pharmaceutical department, which was in charge of developing the growth and fertility pills. "Even Iwa doesn't pull this kind of stunt," Kuretsuchi said quietly, and Sayuri nodded in agreement. SSHH. Hinata reprimanded in hushed tones. "Don't say that in front of anyone." The 9th year of his 10-year plan began this year. Every year, the military parade was held on Foundation Day. The following year, the parade would be larger in number due to the baby boomers, and the following year, they would display a new type of force that would surprise and inspire the crowd. His Kumo counselors stood behind A, and on the lower platform stood his 6 appointed generals, including his 3 Jinchurikis, his brother B, Yugito Ni, and Naruto Arashi, C, Darui, and T, the leader of the Gold Horn Force. In A's mind, he was the Kumo Force's commander-in-chief, and B and C were his 2 main chiefs of staff. The Golden Horn Force would serve as commandos, and Darui, Yugito, and Naruto would lead his armies as field generals. With another 10 battalions, the plan would be completed in 2 years. As the Raikage delivered his speech about sacrifice, commitment, glory, and honor, Naruto stood impassively with his hands in his back, forcing himself to hide his disgust. "Same old crap," the blonde grumbled. However, on the bright side, this military parade did me a favor. Many ninjas were exhausted from celebrating on this day. The ego of the Kumo leadership will be their undoing. Naruto had dispatched a high-level shadow clone carrying a large storage scroll to infiltrate the sewer network. It then created 99 more low-level shadow clones and divided them into 2 groups based on the underground infrastructure data. The first group visited the Kumo leadership's homes, while the second visited the armories and other military installations. The groups detonated high-explosive seals Havoc on the sewer's top sections and manholes. Havoc seals could blow with enough force to crack the ground. Hellfire incendiary seals were also placed in the sewer. Naruto learned the Havoc and Hellfire seals from one of the Uzumaki technique scrolls. During Uzushio's last stand, these seals were invented and used. When all of the shadow clones vanished, Naruto struggled not to appear sick from his sewer experience. The pleasant thought of him sabotaging the pills took his mind off the unpleasant sewer experience. He had separated and dumped the sterilization ingredients into the pill plants and the water supply each month 2 months ago. The new pills had been slowly destroying the village's male sperm and female eggs, and no one had noticed. If he was correct, At least half of the population would have been affected, and the pill plants would be history by tonight. You can say goodbye to your baby boomers, Naruto thought. There would be an evening festival district where the majority of the villagers would congregate, and the district would be free of any havoc or hellfire seals. The civilians were innocent, but the leaders were not, and numerous hellfire and havoc seals were placed around their opulent residences. Not only for punishment, but also to divert as many ninjas as possible away from their leaders. On the Kumo's foundation day, there would be extra fireworks. Naruto's house, 1830. Naruto, Hinata, Kuratsuchi, Asuka, and Sayuri had quickly finished their last meals as Kumo slaves and were packing. While Hinata was downstairs creating several shadow clones codenamed Black, White, Yellow, Red, Orange, Gray, and Blue, he was also packing Naruto's belongings. Yellow, you go look after B-sensei, Yugito-sensei, and my old teammates, Naruto said, handing him 2 large storage scrolls. You go to the power plants and the pills plants, respectively, he said, handing them each a large storage scroll. When you gain entry, you deploy your shadow clones and instruct them to place the havoc seals over the machines and buildings. After blowing up the plants, Black, you immediately go to the Raikage tower to collect all of the weapons, then blow up the basement with the havoc seals. Try to get the classified files at your own discretion. There was no harm in obtaining extra copies. The tracker seals on the Mist Kiba swords indicated that they, along with other powerful weapons such as his father's flying thunder god Kunai, were kept in a basement room, and the information Naruto read last year confirmed their whereabouts. White, you go to the archive library secret basement safe to get all the confidential documents and destroy the library as well with hellfire seals. It would appear that the confidential information files were destroyed by fire. You 2 put the files into the storage scrolls, then go to the evacuation tunnel entrance and hide them or give them to Hinata-chan if they arrive early, and remember to henge into the Raikage when you are near the places. The 2 shadow clones nodded as they were given their orders. Naruto turned to face his Orange and Red. Orange, you are in charge of the Anbu headquarters and the R&D center, while Red is in charge of the Golden Horn Force and the egg and sperm storage facility. Gray is staring at me. You go to the general hospital and send my regards to those doctors. Finally, Blue, you will escort the girls to the slave facility to liberate everyone from there. The fireworks begin at 2000, and our own fireworks begin at 2030. The blonde moved his gaze to his final shadow clone, Yellow. You must complete your task by 2030, when the fireworks begin and end, to notify me of the situation. Everyone except Blue, go. The shadow clones vanished and proceeded to their respective targets. 1900. The girls had already finished packing and went downstairs as most of the shadow clones had left except Naruto and his blue one. Naruto turned to face Hinata. Thank you for packing my belongings, Hinata-chan. The Hyuga grinned. You're very welcome. Naruto turned to face the girls. Ready? He introduced Blue and they all nodded. This shadow clone of mine named Blue will escort and assist you in liberating H's facility. First, you girls go to Kimura's house and stay there. His house is the closest to H's facility. We'll start our fireworks at 2030. You can start your task then when you hear my fireworks, understood? Yes, the girls agreed once more. Alright, I'll take care of the Raikage and the elite Jonins, and I'll see you at the tunnel entrance. Stay safe. You, too, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, and they both smiled. 1930, Jonin Bar. Naruto was unable to send a shadow clone to the bar due to C, the best sensor in the Hidden Cloud Village. Naruto must personally neutralize him. When the whiskered blonde entered the bar, he noticed C and Darui sitting in a far corner with several other high-level Jonins. The Raikage was also present, much to his surprise. Shit, I have to change the plan. Yo, Naruto, Darui said, taking a sip from a saucer. Aren't you supposed to have a party with B, Yugito, and your teammates? The Raikage raised an eyebrow at the dark-skinned elite Jonin's question. Yeah, but not now. It starts at 9 o'clock and it's too early to get there now. I bet B-sensei is rapping right now. I'll be there on time, not 1 minute later. A and the other Jonins burst out laughing. The Jinchuriki sat down and ordered a drink. Raikage-sama, I thought you'd be at Mabui's house having fun? Yeah, I'd like to, but she still has some tower work to do. Oh well, there's still some time before the party. I don't mind having a drink and chatting with you guys before the party. Do you want to come too? Not when B is going to be rapping at the party, everyone agreed. Naruto chuckled lightly. Kumo Anbu Headquarters, 1935. Greetings, Fox-san, said the Anbu guard. What are you doing here this evening? Shouldn't you be enjoying the festival or going to a party? Yeah, I'm going to a party later, Orange replied, dressed in Naruto's Anbu uniform. But first, I'm here to get some stuff out of my locker. I see, the guard said as he allowed Orange into the headquarters. The shadow clone entered the underground locker room quickly. Many Havoc seals were placed in his boss's locker, and the lockers of those Naruto knew were currently away on missions. In addition, he placed seals in every dark corner he could find. As he walked away from the Anbu building, he noticed fireworks in the sky. The fireworks have started, it's now 2010, Orange thought as he glanced at his watch and dashed off to the R&D center. The Golden Horn Force Barracks, 1940. Commander, General T was now celebrating with the majority of his fellow Golden Horn Force members. Later, the rest would arrive and join in. The Raikage had increased funding for his forces, and the Golden Horn Force would more than double in size in 2 years. Hello Naruto, T said as he and the other partygoers got a little tipsy. The Raikage instructed me to bring you this box of sake, Red said cheerfully. It's his gift for your party. More sake. Good. All the partygoers exclaimed as they began to remove the sake bottles from the box. Please express our gratitude to Raikage-sama. No problem, Red said as he tossed the sake box into a corner with the rest of the garbage. Unbeknownst to T and the rest of the Golden Horn Force, the alcohol had been laced with a flavorless paralysis drug that would take effect later. Inside the alcohol box were Havoc and Hellfire seals. Red had also hidden 3 more Havoc seals beneath the tables as he left the room. The Shadow Clone raised his head and noticed the village fireworks had already begun. It was the year 2010, and he needed to get to the egg and sperm storage facility, which was 8 kilometers away. B's house in 2010. The house of the Jinchuriki to Hachibi was a mansion surrounded by high walls, which was ideal for Naruto's plan because people wouldn't notice when the house was gone at first. The fireworks had begun. Yugito ni, Samui and her brother Atsui, Karui and Omoi with his slave, and Naruto's Team G teammates J and K were all present at B's house. Naruto had invited them all to B's place after he suggested having a party at B's mansion. B, it'd be best if you could stop rapping and wait for Naruto, Yugito said, massaging her temples. I hope B-sensei doesn't rap anymore at the party, muttered Karui. They had already started the party and were drinking while waiting for Naruto. When there was a knock on the door, Samui went to open it, revealing Naruto, who was actually Yellow acting on Naruto's behalf. Hi Naruto. Where are your slaves? I thought you'd bring at least one of your girls with you? Samui inquired. You even told Omoi to bring his slave here, so I expected them to come here as well. They don't have to come, but I'm thirsty. Could you please take me to get a drink? Sure, Samui said as he led Yellow to the party room, where he was greeted warmly by everyone. Hello everyone, Yellow said, raising his glass of drink to catch everyone's attention. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Naruto Namikaze. The blonde's statement made Yugito and B's eyes widen, and they were stunned and speechless. Namikaze? What is he talking about? Karui was perplexed. Doesn't he have the surname Arashi? I'm not an Arashi, Karui, Yellow said, shaking his head. B-sensei and Yugito-sensei will explain the crimes committed by Kumo to you guys. I am here to protect you and not let you get involved in this. What the? Jay exclaimed as he looked out the windows, and others followed suit as they noticed the outdoor environment changing. The house appeared to be rapidly sinking. Outside, 4 of Yellow's shadow clones stood at the 4 corners of B's house. They had created a dimension into which the entire house was sinking. The 2 Kumo Jinchurikis were slightly trembling. They were both unarmed and unprepared, fearing what Naruto would do to them for their involvement in his kidnapping. B-sensei, Yugito-sensei, Yellow said sadly. You've been a brother and a sister to me, and I'm very happy to know you, so please stay out of this. I don't want to fight you. The shadow clone placed 2 large storage scrolls on the ground. These 2 scrolls contain everything you need to survive for 5 days. In the dimension, time was 20 times faster. It would be 3 months later when B and the gang emerged from the dimension. There's a letter in one of the storage scrolls. You'll understand why I'm doing this. The heinous crimes committed by this village must not go unpunished. Yellow turned to face Omoi in order to deliver Naruto's message. Omoi, take care of your girl like a family, like B-sensei does, or I will take action. Also, there is a karaoke machine inside one of the scrolls, the best model of this year, he said mischievously before dispelling. Enjoy. Naruto! Exclaimed Naruto's teammates, knowing who would love to use the machine. Yugito and B were both taken aback by Naruto's revelation. They were both trembling slightly, trying to figure out when and how their fellow Jinchuriki would regain his memory. Yellow's task had been completed, and B's mansion was now in the Namikaze dimension. There were 2 minutes until 2030. Jonin Bar, 2028. Yellow's memory returned to Naruto, and he smiled inwardly as he checked the time, 2028. He casually placed his right hand in a pocket, one by one, to activate the detonator seals. It's time to start our show, 60 seconds to go. Naruto brought up another chat topic. What's the deal with the rumors about the Akatsuki group? They are ninja mercenaries, and I heard Iwa and Suna have been employing them because they accept lower fees while producing good results, C replied. Kumo doesn't need them, the Raikage grumbled, but he was relieved that even Iwa had fallen low and that conquering them wouldn't be too difficult. It seems strange to me that a ninja village would hire a ninja mercenary group. Naruto was deep in thought. Ninja villages are already major mercenary groups, and outsourcing hires another outsource. Small explosions could be heard outside before the other Jonins and the Raikage could explain. People on the street noticed the ground cracking and manhole covers flying out wildly, some of which collided with nearby buildings. Fearing for their safety, many people fled the cracked grounds. The bar's light went out, as did the entire street, which confused everyone and caused some people to jump. In the streets, there were surprised yelps and shouts. When the Kumo fireworks stopped a few minutes ago, it was completely pitch black outside. The total darkness lasted only 30 seconds before being replaced by the sudden bright lights of massive underground explosions. The streets erupted in large orange flames. Anyone who remained on the streets was captured and consumed by the fires, screamed in agony. "There is fire everywhere!" screamed a civilian as he saw much of the village in flames. "What the hell is going on?" exclaimed the Raikage as he stormed out of the bar, only to find the streets on fire and explosions everywhere. The number of explosions and their scales outnumbered Naruto's anticipation, and he stiffened as two memories surfaced. Damned it. The explosions caught red and orange. An invasion? Concluded, and he began issuing orders. He pointed to Darui and other water-loving shinobi. "You guys go put out the fire." Naruto was looking at the Kumo leader. "You go get B and Yugito, they should be at his house." "C. I want you to get as many men as possible from the barracks. You tell those with water affinity to extinguish the fire, while the rest move to defend the gates." Hello. Everyone took their orders and dispersed. Outside the Slave and Breeding Program Facility, 2045. Hinata, Kuretsuchi, Asuka, and Sayuri donned the old Uzumaki armor and weapons, much to Kuretsuchi and Sayuri's chagrin and Iwa pride, but Kumo was now a battleground. Explosions and screams could be heard everywhere, and explosions were still going off. Hinata was dreading returning to this dreadful place, but she had no choice. Only she, Kuretsuchi, Asuka, and Sayuri could persuade the girls to leave. It was a task that no man, not even Naruto, could complete. "Byakugan!" exclaimed Hinata, activating her dojutsu. There are 4 Anbu guards outside the facility, and there are 6 female Chunins inside, including H and her staff. "Okay, Hinata-chan," Blue said to her. "With your archery skills, you can take them out. It's time for you to gain some real combat experience." Hinata realized what Blue had said, her first kills, which made her shudder. Naruto believed she was now at Chunin level, but the Hyuga was beginning to have doubts. When Blue noticed her hesitation about taking lives, he put his hand on her shoulder. "Hinata-chan." Blue jolted her out of her reverie. "There are many girls imprisoned there. You can do it. Your boss believes in you." Naruto had faith in her and knew she could do it. The Hyuga took a deep breath to calm herself before raising her bow and shooting 4 arrows with deadly precision to 4 different targets. The arrows all struck the Anbu in the head, and they all died without a sound. The brunette felt sick after her first kills and was shaking while staring at her hands when Blue intervened. "Good job, Hinata-chan," exclaimed the shadow clone, smiling broadly. "Boss will be delighted to see and greet you at the tunnel entrance." Hinata flushed profusely, almost washing away the troubling thought. Blue turned to look at the other 3 girls, who appeared uneasy. "You'll get your kills inside the facility. I'm sure you've got some scores to settle, right?" "Yeah," exclaimed all 4 girls. "Let's go," Blue exclaimed as the girls stormed into the facility. The Cage Bunshin spawned 4 more shadow clones, who went to look after the Anbu bodies and transformed into them. 2100. When the Raikage Tower staff saw the flames and explosions covering most of the village, they were terrified. To make matters worse, the tower had also been shook by explosions. Everyone was confused and panicked, including some of the Anbu present. Black, the perpetrator of the underground explosion in the tower, rushed into the tower. "Raikage-sama!" Mabui exclaimed, relieved. "I'm delighted to have you here." Black was surprised to see the Raikage's secretary, but he kept his cool. "There is no time, Mabui-chan. Evacuate everyone to the shelters." Anbu. Several masked ninjas appeared to await their orders. Go assist in the evacuation of civilians to shelters. I'll take care of everything here myself. Don't question your Raikage. Now go. After confirming that everyone had exited the tower, Black went to the Raikage office and took all of the keys to the basement rooms. He then hid several Havoc seals on the Heavenly Transfer Machine before proceeding to the basement room where all the secret powerful weapons were kept. The keys were unnecessary because the explosion had created a large hole. Despite the explosions, the legendary Kiba swords maintained their reputation. Black entered the room through the hole and summoned a few shadow clones to begin collecting all of Kumo's valuable weapons, including the treasured tools of the Rakudo Sennin, the Flying Thunder God Kunai, and the Kiba swords. He finished by placing all of the remaining Havoc seals on the basement room. When the shadow clones sensed and confirmed that no one had arrived at the tower, he dashed back to the Raikage office to retrieve all the confidential files. It pleased him that the secondary goal had also been completed. He deposited all of his Hellfire seals in the Raikage office before fleeing the tower and detonating the seals. The Great Tower shook before collapsing into burning wreckage. The evacuation tunnel was now his final destination. 2115. One of the most important aspects of ninja life was secrecy. Naruto hadn't even told any Kumo nins that he had Kurama's fire release and a third affinity, water release. Naruto could even use his water techniques when he had very little water. This secrecy paid off when the Raikage did not order him to assist Darui in putting out the fire. Naruto had expected the Raikage to order C to rally more troops from the barracks because they were in the same direction. To avoid the fire on the streets, the two were jumping across the buildings. Some shaky structures were collapsing. C nodded when he saw Naruto jump down and save a little girl from a collapsing building after the Jinchuriki placed the girl in a safe location. The two resumed their journeys to their respective destinations, the barracks and B's house. "Hey C," Naruto called out, drawing the older ninja's attention. There must be something in this alley. They both fell into the dark alley, and C was perplexed because he saw nothing. Huh? I don't see anything strange, what are you? Arg. C's words were cut short as Naruto punched him in the gut before slapping him with a sleeping seal. You'd be dead now if you hadn't been a decent man, Naruto said as he drew the sleeping C into a safe corner and hid him in a dumpster. C has finally been neutralized, Naruto said as he touched the seal on his left arm, revealing a storage scroll. He put on his Anbu uniform and weapon pouches, then strapped the Arashi katana to his back. He made 3 shadow copies. He pointed to one of them and handed it a scroll of storage. Orange, go look after the Research and Development Center. Examining the second shadow clone. Enter C and issue orders to the troops at the barracks to put out the fire and assist the villagers in getting to the shelters. To his shadow clone number 3. You henge into the Raikage and go to the Anbu headquarters and tell them to put out the fire and evacuate the villagers. After receiving their orders, all 3 Kage Bunshins left. Naruto quickly jumped back to a high-rise building and noticed smoke rising from the Anbu headquarters and the Golden Horn Force barracks. Alright, most of them should be neutralized. I would have blown up the barracks with A in them if I had known he was going to the Golden Horn Force there. It's 21:40 now, less than 90 minutes to go. It will take at least 30 minutes to get there, and another 20 minutes to get to the tunnel. Time is running out. Kumogakure General Hospital, Sub-Level 2 Storage Room 2145. Moaned Hospital Director Ishii as he was startled awake by a bright flashlight. The director remembered having a violent stomach cramp at home the last time the Kumo fireworks rocked his delicate stomach, and he rushed to the toilet but was knocked out by someone there. He discovered himself bound and gagged. He looked around and noticed that he was surrounded by 20 of his colleagues, including some female doctors. Most of the male doctors here, including him, had formed an unofficial slave molestation club and openly discussed their sexual harassment experiences. The doctor detected foul odors emanating from their bodies and realized they, too, had soiled themselves. Was my drink laxative laced? Is that everyone? Ishii reflected. A figure slowly emerged from the shadows, revealing Gray as Naruto. The doctors were all surprised and shocked, and they all wanted to say something but were all gagged. I am here to punish you for your crimes in the breeding project, Gray said monotonously. The slave labor processes in which you all participated and are guilty. Naruto snuck into the doctors' offices at night and read their files and journals, revealing horrifying information that enraged and disgusted the blonde. Director Ishii's and other doctors' journals contained revolting personal reflections on how they enjoyed the slave labor processes. Naruto became sicker and more disturbed as he discovered more facts. Earlier this year, the Raikage secretly changed his policy. If slaves were not impregnated by their masters within the deadlines or had reached the age of 12 without a master, they were taken to the hospital to be artificially inseminated. The blonde had shuddered violently for his new love Hinata but had never told her or the other girls. Another issue was that doctors ordered midwives to take babies away immediately, even when young dying mothers begged to see their children at least once. Doctors, is it too much for mothers to see their newborn children at least once? Gray asked on Naruto's behalf while dangerously fiddling a kunai and looking at their widening eyes. I know what you scumbags are thinking. If this kunai is a suppository, will Naruto shove it in my ass? Yes, for those of you who have taken such sick pleasure in the project. Some of the male doctors paled and trembled violently. But all of you here are cruel and corrupted monsters for what you did to those young mothers, and you will receive your sentence for your crimes in the breeding project as well. I'm here to let you taste your own medicine. The doctors all looked pale. Naruto had dispatched Gray today to deliver justice and punish the scum who had insulted the noble position of doctor. 20 more Naruto's shadow clones emerged from the shadows. On their right hands, they all used the A-rank assassination technique Wind Claws. The Wind Claws technique used twin-wrist serrated blades of wind chakra for assassination as well as hand-to-hand combat. It had no difficulty severing human hands. The medical staff struggled to speak through the gags and desperately tried to break free, but to no avail. You can beg as much as those poor mothers did, and I will show you the same mercy you showed them, Gray said flatly. These doctors' eyes were filled with fear and tears, and they had soiled themselves yet again. Rest assured, you will not die because we will cauterize your wounds, but your careers will end tonight, and you will have to find a way to wipe your sorry ass for the rest of your life. No one else will hear you scream here. Slave and Breeding Program Facility, 2200. Despite the fact that there was no Kumo nin nearby, Blue remained vigilant. He was impressed by the 4 girls' performance. They easily dispatched the 6 Chunin guards inside the facility, subjugated H and the other facility staff, and administered proper punishment to settle personal scores. Hinata, Kuretsuchi, Sayuri, and Asuka had all reached the Chunin level. He blushed and was even more surprised when the girls and he broke into the slave students' sleeping quarters. All of them were naked on their beds. Does Hinata have similar experience? Thought the shadow clone. The boss isn't going to like this. When the slave students were finally escorted out of the facility, Blue created several shadow clones who transformed into H, the Chunin guards, and the staff in order to create a false scene to demonstrate that the facility was still secure. Then Blue, Hinata, and Asuka entered the sewer and made several hand gestures. Sweeten. Tidal wave. Exclaimed Hinata and Asuka as the water in the sewer moved. Blue yelled, Sweeten, great torrent. And a flood shot from his mouth. After these two techniques washed away most of the unpleasant things in the sewers, a ladder was erected, and people began to descend quickly into the sewer. The four girls led about 150 slave students to the closest manhole to the evacuation tunnel, while Blue served as the rear guard. The time is now 2220. The group would arrive before the deadline of 2300. The Egg and Sperm Storage Facility, 2230. Naruto had entered the facility after dispatching all of the Anbu guards quickly. When he arrived here, he immediately summoned a swarm of shadow clones. The shadow clones quickly spread out into the storage rooms, placing Hellfire seals in each of the egg or sperm storage tanks and Havoc seals along the building's walls. As Black and White's memories returned to him, the blonde stiffened. "Good, they've met with Hinata-chan, and everyone has arrived," he said, but his face turned grim as he sensed a large spike of chakra approaching. "He's coming," the Namikaze said, quickly preparing himself and setting the timer for 3 minutes. 5 minutes ago. The Raikage was furious, and 10 Kumo elite ninjas trailed him. When he arrived, he discovered that the Golden Horn Force had been blown up by someone. The majority of them were killed, and the remainder were severely injured. The commander, was among those killed. Nobody could figure out who was to blame. When Naruto did not return with B and Yugito, the Raikage assumed he had been knocked out by an explosion and dispatched another ninja to find him, but he returned with news that B's house had disappeared. He couldn't believe it and dashed to check, but it had vanished. All 3 Kumo Jinchurikis, as well as Samui, Karui, Omoi, and Team G members, were missing. To make matters worse, someone was spreading rumors about an unknown large enemy force storming the village gates. All available Kumo ninjas in the vicinity moved to defend the village gates and awaited the impending attacks. There was little to no reinforcement from the barracks, and most of the shinobi were struggling to put out the fire while also assisting villagers to find shelter, which contradicted A's order. What in the world did C do? Even C has vanished. There were flames and explosions everywhere, and the counselors ordered Darui and other ninjas with water affinity to put out the fires around their homes. Worse, someone was impersonating him and issuing false orders, causing misdirection and further confusion, including the evacuation of the Raikage Tower. When it arrived, the tower had become rubble in a distant memory. The village was in complete disarray. When the Raikage sent a runner to check on H's facility and found H and the Anbu still there, he was relieved. Naruto was spotted near the egg and sperm storage facility. What on earth is Naruto doing? Is he the perpetrator? There were explosions coming from below as they ran towards the facility's entrance. Most of the Raikage's group was caught in the blasts and was either killed or critically injured. A's right leg was lightly injured despite his superhuman speed. Lotus seals are mine. The Raikage and 4 of his ninjas were the only ones who had made it through the entrance. When they stormed into the building, they weren't even quiet. A wind release, Shuriken Barrage, was used against the group, followed by a fire release, Fire Dragon Flame Bullet. The Raikage's last 4 ninjas were mowed down or cooked, and only he escaped with only minor injuries. The Kumo leader saw Naruto inside the building, reeking of massive killing intent and bloodlust, so massive that even he twitched a little. "You?" I was taken aback. "You're the one responsible for everything? What happened to B and Yugito? What's the big deal? You are the one responsible for all of the abductions and tragedies at the breeding program." Naruto stated icily. "This isn't even close to making us equal, asshole. I'm here to make up for my father's mistake in allowing you to live during the last war and to put an end to your oppression." He unsheathed the Arashi and assumed a sword-fighting stance, holding the sword next to his right ear. "You don't have to be concerned about Yugito-sensei and B-sensei. They will attend your funeral, and I will send you flowers. When the Kumo leader noticed the orange spiral-shaped guard on the Jinchuriki's katana in the mention of his father, he realized what was going on. How long has your memory suppression seal been broken? A dead man doesn't need to know, Naruto said venomously. As I previously stated, I am here to correct my father's error in allowing you to live. You caused many innocent people to suffer and die. Your tyrannical rule comes to an end tonight. The Jinchuriki swung his sword to form the vacuum sword, releasing a gust of sharp wind towards A, which he easily avoided and turned to glare at the whiskered blonde. Do you realize what you've done? My 10-year plan and the hard work it required? How about all the innocent people who have suffered and died as a result of your personal desire? Naruto's sky-blue eyes transformed into slitted, blood-red orbs. You've ruined everything I've been planning for years. He activated his lightning release armor. I'm not going to let you get away with it. In response, Naruto activated his wind release armor. You kidnapped many innocent people with limited bloodlines in order to satisfy your desire for power. You turned them into slaves and breeding stock. You have gone too far in a time of peace to gain power, even kidnapping children. You barbarian and your council are beyond redemption. As I have said, I will complete my father's job tonight. He charged with a demonic roar. Naruto and the Raikage squared off. The lightning release armor provided faster speed via nerve stimulation, but the wind release armor provided superior offensive and defensive capabilities. A used his left arm brace to deflect the blonde's sword strike while punching him in the chest. The punch cracked 3 of the Jinchuriki's ribs, causing him to cough up blood as he flew backward and collided with a wall. However, the futon armor's razor-sharp defense also injured A's right hand. Kurama gradually healed Naruto, giving him the upper hand for the time being. The Raikage roared and launched a lightning straight at Naruto, but the latter moved aside with his enhanced reflexes before counterattacking with a wind chakra katana stabbed to the former's torso. The Raikage narrowly avoided it, but he suffered a deep cut on his left arm as a result. Explosions began to rock the entire building, catching both sides off guard, but A was horrified and shocked to see all of the storage rooms on fire. His precious eggs and sperm had caught fire. His ideas for the Kumo future were on fire. No. Naruto, finish him now. Do it right now. Kurama yelled. Naruto charged in at full speed, using all of his strength and Kurama's chakra focused through the Arashi to put an end to A's regime once and for all. FCK it. The Namikaze cursed as A shook himself awake and avoided his lethal strike to the heart, but he immediately struck again. The Raikage screamed in agony as the katana's strike cut diagonally from his left cheek to his right eyebrow. His right eye would have been lost if he had been half a centimeter closer. Naruto's chakra-charged attack instantly cauterized A's wound, leaving a large scar across the Kumo leader's face. Even the best medic nins couldn't heal the scar. This fight would stay with the Raikage for the rest of his life. Additional blasts shook the facility, destroying the foundation and causing the building to tremble. A was disoriented and holding his injured face. Naruto charged again, but he noticed A taking another step backward, and the floorboard beneath him gave way. As he fell into the basement, the Kumo leader let out a startled cry. As the explosions continued, the building collapsed. The facility would be consumed in a sea of flames in no time. Time was ticking away. I hope this is your grave, Naruto said as he set the timer for 9 seconds before tossing his final havoc seal into the hole. Rest in peace with your valuable eggs and sperm. The building finally collapsed and caught fire as Naruto stormed out. As Orange's memory returned to him, he stiffened. Oh my god. My cover has finally been blown. Anbu annihilated Orange before he could destroy the Research and Development Center. He punched the ground hard and checked his watch. It was now 22:45. He needed to meet up with Hinata and the others. It appeared that he would have to abandon the Cloud R&D Center. The Namikaze decided to create another distraction in order to reach the rendezvous point, as well as a final punishment for the Kumo leadership. He clapped his hands and waited 5 seconds before a small twister appeared between his palms, charged with Kurama's chakra. He then directed it toward the most prestigious residential district, which housed the Kumo counselors. The twister grew in size as it flew to its destination. 22:55. Darui and his fellow ninjas breathed a sigh of relief as the final flame around the counselors' homes was extinguished. They were initially perplexed, however, when gusts of wind began to buffet them. When they looked for the source of the wind, they discovered a growing twister. When a large fire stream hit the twister, it turned into a massive fireball with a radius of at least 500 meters. The Kumo elite Jonin's eyes widened. "Find the cover!" Darui yelled. Those who did not, including 2 Kumo counselors, were consumed by the flames. 2300. Entrance to the evacuation tunnel. Hinata, G, Saikan, and Blue were anxiously awaiting the tunnel's opening in the forest. They knew Naruto was safe because Blue was still present, but he was late, which worried them. It took another 5 minutes for the whiskered blonde to arrive, and his uniform was blood-splattered. Hinata rushed over to hug him. "Naruto-kun." "I'm sorry for being late," Naruto said, clutching Hinata close to him. "But I'll explain more later. We must leave immediately. I'll try to cover our tracks." G and Saikan entered the tunnel and prepared to seal it off. Blue dispelled his memory and returned it to Naruto, who smiled and hugged Hinata again. "You did exceptionally well," Naruto said with a smile, complimenting her. "You are now a true kunoichi. You should be pleased with yourself." "Thank you." Hinata smiled as her cheeks flushed from their brief kiss. Before Naruto and Hinata entered the tunnel, he hid 4 flying Thunder God Kunai in the forest and created 2 small twisters to clear all the footprints. There were still slaves trapped in Kumoa-owned Slaveza, but he promised to save them as well. "I'll be right back." After 3 hours, a fist was thrown in the ruins of the eggs and sperm storage facility, and a bloodied and scarred A emerged from the rubble. One of the Raikage's generals nearly destroyed the Raikage's 10-year plan. He couldn't believe his efforts to ensure Kumo's global supremacy and dominance had failed. He looked out over the village's utter devastation, smoke and fires almost everywhere. Kumogakure had become an inferno. Across the entire village, an animalistic roar of rage could be heard. "What in the world is that?" a group of civilians screamed. It heightened the level of fear in the Cloud Village. After 10 hours in the tunnel, which was 72 kilometers long, was ironically built in response to a possible invasion led by his father, Minato Namikaze. Naruto took about 70 minutes to reach the other end of the tunnel, and it would take much longer with those non-ninjas. They had been inside the tunnel for over 10 hours and would be leaving in 30 minutes. The group was taking one last rest before exiting the tunnel. Hinata Hyuga was checking on the slave students and civilians while Naruto Namikaze rested with the Arashi resting against his shoulder. "Naruto," Kuretsuchi said, holding Sayuri's hand. "We'd like to speak with you for a moment." "Oh?" The blonde lifted his head to look at them. "How are you? We've always wanted to know why you chose me and Sayuri." "Because you girls are pretty," he casually replied. Kuretsuchi and Sayuri both gawked and blushed, which made the Jinchuriki laugh. "Haha. Just kidding, but you two are stunning. But consider this. What would happen if you were chosen by someone else? The Iwa girls were taken aback by the blonde's rhetorical question because they recognized the hidden meaning in it. To be honest, choosing you to be my. It was the most practical solution for the future, but I still wanted to protect you too. Yes, I was aware of your background before selecting you in H's facility. And, yes, I would like Konohagakure and Iwagakure to form an alliance, similar to Konohagakure and Sanagakure. Even if it's just a piece of paper, it's likely to put pressure on this despicable village to submit to 3 superpowers, or 4 if Kirigakure joins in. I sincerely wanted to save every single one of you from that facility and from becoming nothing more than breeding stock, but I couldn't. I couldn't pick too many girls because I was already being watched when I chose Hinata-chan. It was a difficult choice to make. He told them in a deep mournful tone. He stood up and looked Kuretsuchi and Sayuri in the eyes, and they saw sorrow in his sky-blue eyes. Naruto walked past the Iwa girls, surprising them by turning to face them and smiling. Konoha and Iwa hold deep grudges against one another, and I know who I am to Iwa, the most wanted man in your village, dead or alive. But you and I can still be friends, don't you think? Kuretsuchi and Sayuri returned his nods and smiles. We certainly can. Thank you so much for protecting me, Sayuri expressed gratitude. Me, too, Kuretsuchi admitted. I appreciate it. You know, I think I could have fallen for you, but I know your heart is already taken. Naruto smiled as Sayuri looked over at Hinata, who was busy distributing rations to people with other ex-Kumo ninjas. After we exit this tunnel, Hinata-chan and I will travel to the southern port with the Mist citizens, while you two will travel to the northern port with my friends Ji and Saikan, as well as the other Iwa and Earth Country girls. Maintain your health and happiness. You, too, both girls said at the same time. I'm sure you and Hinata-chan are looking forward to some dates and wild adult activities when you get home, right? Kuretsuchi teased with a Cheshire cat grin. Naruto blushed when she mentioned adult activities before stiffening and sensing someone outside the tunnel exit. Someone is watching. You two stay here. He stormed towards the exit, holding Arashi in his right hand. Stop. Kurama yelled. He's a nice guy. Southern port of Lightning Country. Hinoka and Tayuya had begun loading supplies onto the ship, the Wind of Freedom, with their black hair still concealing their normal appearance. We're finally going to get the hell out of this shithole, Tayuya exclaimed impatiently after loading the ship's first supplies. I can't wait to get rid of this dreadful hair color. Language. Hinoka yelled, reprimandingly. Naruto swore as well. Why didn't you chastise him as well? I chastised him as well, but Naruto-kun was under duress. It's now 9 o'clock. Naruto-kun and his companions would arrive in 4 hours. Outside the evacuation tunnel 10 minutes later. Roshi-san, it's a pleasure to meet you. I am Kurama's Jinchuriki. People call him the Kyuubi. Naruto extended his hand to the bearded man in front of him, who shook it. Similarly, Naruto. Roshi greeted everyone. I am the Yanbi's Jinchuriki. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this. Even Roshi didn't know the name of Yanbi like B-sensei? Roshi-san, before I ask the main question, do you know what the name of the Yanbi is? Yeah. His name is Goku. Roshi responded reluctantly. I see. Thank you very much. Now, back to the main point. How did you get here so quickly? It was impossible to get here in a day and a half from Earth Country. No, Roshi replied, I was already in Lightning Country. I've been looking for my grandniece Kuretsuchi-chan since she went missing. For years, Iwagakure has dispatched search parties for Kuretsuchi-chan, Sayuri-chan, and the other missing Earth Country girls. Even Han, the Jinchuriki to Gobi, has been mobilized and is searching around the Fire Country border. We suspected Konoha or Kumo were behind this. Kuratsuchi-chan. When he saw his grandniece emerge from the tunnel with the other people, the Yanbi Jinchuriki rushed to hug her. I'm delighted to see you. But what exactly is this? You've changed so much? You have the appearance of a teenager. Naruto sneezed. We'll go over this later. Roshi appeared to be embarrassed. However, the Kyuubi no Kitsune contacted us, and luckily, I was nearby. Naruto raised an eyebrow in response to Roshi's words. You called your brethren, Kurama? Yes, Kurama grumbled, but I called him and his Jinchuriki to cover your ass. I'm so glad I called them because you failed to destroy the Research and Development Center. Naruto chuckled at his fox friend's remarks, too proud to admit he had requested assistance. Kurama, thank you. But when did you get in touch with them? When you and your girlfriend were having your little private time, Kurama grinned, and Naruto's face deepened into a shade of red before fleeing the mindscape under the guise of assisting people exiting the tunnel. Is this the boy you mentioned? In the Tailed Beast communication link, Son Goku asked Kurama, and the fox nodded. Kurama had previously explained everything, including the blonde's friendship and admiration for him. Son Goku was interested in Naruto, and even his most cynical brethren respected and cared for the Jinchuriki. Now he understood why Kurama admired Naruto. The boy genuinely admired the tailed beasts. The four-tailed ape agreed silently that he had not seen anyone care so much about other people since their father. You are a very interesting person, Naruto Namikaze, Son Goku said. Naruto and his former team leader Ji exchanged handshakes. Regardless of the missions, Sensei, it is an honor to work with you. I wish you and your daughter the best of luck in Earth Country. Roshi-san will assist you in traveling safely to Earth Country. The honor is mine and yours, Ji said to his daughter before turning to face their friends and families. Thank you for faking our deaths and helping us to escape while you take all the blames. Naruto turned to Kuratsuchi and Sayuri after hugging and kissing Hinata and Asuka goodbye. The girls had been living together for at least 2 years and had grown to consider each other family. They were all saddened to learn that they would be splitting up. Please remember to bring the scroll to the Tsuchikage, Kuratsuchi-chan, Sayuri-chan. It contains evidence files of the crimes Kumo committed. Naruto sadly smiled at them and hugged them as well. To me, you two are like family. Please keep yourself safe and happy. Kuratsuchi and Sayuri returned the blush and smile. We will, and please look after yourself. Roshi-san, Naruto bowed to his fellow Jinchuriki. Please look after my friends, Kuratsuchi-chan, and Sayuri-chan. Please also inform Son Goku that I am extremely grateful for both of your assistance. Son Goku raised an eyebrow, astounded that Naruto addressed him by his name rather than the number of tails, not to mention that the blonde assisted the villagers who wanted to kill him. Could you be the one the old man mentioned, Naruto Namikaze? Son Goku was perplexed. We have to leave now, Ji and Roshi said to their group. Same to us, Naruto said, looking at Hinata, Asuka, and their friends. Everyone, let's go this way. Lightning Country's southern port arrives 4 hours later. Naruto and his group had arrived at the port and had met Hinoka and Tayuya. Naruto introduced the two parties to each other briefly. He introduced Hinata and his Uzumaki clan's women privately. It was time to set sail after ensuring that everyone had boarded the Wind of Freedom. Naruto discarded his Kumo forehead protector and flak jacket before donning the old black Uzumaki armor over his jet black bodysuit. Let's go, Tayuya-chan, he told his navigator. To the eastern coast of the Fire Country. Aye, Captain, Tayuya replied sarcastically. The wind of freedom sailed from the southern port of Lightning Country to Fire Country. We are now free. Everyone cheered, and some even cried with joy. Naruto and Hinata clasped hands and smiled as they gazed out toward the sea and home. Temporary Raikage office, afternoon. Lil, prick. When the Raikage saw the smoke rising from Naruto's house after Anbu stormed it, he roared. He should have known the house was rigged. The panic had finally subsided, but this had reignited some of it, much to his chagrin. The Raikage was still in a foul mood after some medical treatment, and the tower staffs were terrified. Even Mabui was hesitant to approach him. Except for Mabui, the tower staff did not dare to get too close to the Raikage for fear of their lives, and no one dared to look at A's scarred face. The Kumo leader was gritting his teeth and shaking in rage as he read the damage reports. On the ninja side, over 2,000 people were killed, and over 4,000 were severely injured. Darui had third-degree burns on half of his body. He and the majority of the injured would need at least 2 months to recover. C eventually returned to report, narrowly avoiding A's wrath, but he claimed to have been knocked out by the traitorous Naruto. It was embarrassing for him to admit that he had been hiding in a dumpster. Half of the armories and military installations were completely destroyed, including the pill plants, while another quarter were severely damaged and the rest were severely damaged. Their most powerful weapons and artifacts, including the Rakuto Sennin's prized tools, were all missing from the destroyed tower. Examining all of the reports when he considered the destroyed pill plants, he felt a nagging sense of foreboding. He requested that C conduct a health investigation on everyone who had taken the pills. All hospitals were overrun with injured people, and all available medics and doctors were summoned. The situation deteriorated when Dr. Ishii and his colleagues were discovered with a note detailing their crimes. They had all lost both hands and their eyes had been slashed, rendering them blind. Some of them were discovered with kunai rammed up their buttocks. Despite the fire and explosions, less than 500 civilians were killed, 3,000 were injured, and 300 went missing. The majority of the civilians were fortunate to be in the festival areas where there was no explosion or fire, and they were taken to the shelters. Lucky? No, that jerk purposefully avoided bombing civilians. You little prick, your compassion for the weak will be your undoing one day. The Golden Horn Force had nearly been destroyed, and B and Yugito had vanished along with Team B and Team G. Kumo was in a vulnerable position without its best of the best, the 2 Jinchurikis and the majority of its elite ninjas. Furthermore, the slaves at the Slave and Breeding Program facility, as well as the slaves of the Blonde, were all missing. The second runner was shocked and embarrassed when H and her staff were discovered gagged and placed in racks, while the Anbu stationed there were all dead. H and her staff were all imposters when I sent the first runner to investigate. This had to have been planned long ago, and there's no doubt the student slaves are now with the prick and his slaves. The Raikage concluded his speech. He looked at the world map and knew exactly where Naruto and his friends were going. Konoha. Mabui. Send all available Anbu and Hunter teams to the northern border and the eastern coast of the Fire Country to apprehend them at any cost. The Raikage gave the order. Send messages to those who are also present to intercept them. The secretary left to issue the Raikage's order, but Gray had hanged into one of the Mabui's assistants. The shadow clone didn't dispel and stayed to see how Kumo was doing, but his chakra was critically low. He needed to leave right away and was relieved that he could send a critical piece of information back to his boss. Gray and Henge made an excuse to leave and dispelled himself in a secret and hidden location. We cannot go to the southern border of Fire Country, told C and the rest of his team. I despise having to rely on others, but this time we have no choice. See what you can do to get in touch with this Akatsuki. Aboard the Wind of Liberty. While Naruto was resting on the deck with the water citizens and enjoying the sea breeze, the girls Hinata, Asuka, Hinoka, and Tayuya were chatting on the bridge about their previous events. At first, I was skeptical that Naruto-kun was an Uzumaki because he didn't have red hair, despite the Uzumaki ruby and the Arashi sword that could be stolen. Hinoka recalled her meeting with the blonde. Fortunately, he secretly followed me and my employers to Summoning Island, and when the beast became uncontrollable and began killing people, and my chakra chain failed to restrain the beast. Hinoka shuddered at the event that nearly killed her before continuing her reminiscence. I yelled for help, but no one answered, until Naruto-kun appeared out of nowhere and drew me to safety before we took down the beast together. By fiercely protecting his fellow clanswoman, he proved himself to be a true Uzumaki and the son of Kushina. I owe him my very life. Tayuya began to tell her story, me too. I was an orphan who struggled to survive on the streets until Naruto and Hinoka discovered and helped me. With that ruby thing, they confirmed I was an Uzumaki, and we three became like siblings who supported each other. They demonstrated to me what a family was. If they hadn't arrived, I would still be on the streets, probably in a bad situation or dead. I owe them both a great deal. Hinata and Asuka nodded in agreement, having both been saved by the blonde. The bridge door unexpectedly opened, and Naruto rushed in with a hardened expression, startling everyone in the room. "I'm sorry, but my shadow clone informed me that the damn Raikage is still alive," he said solemnly. "But the most important thing is that Kumo ninjas will be swarming the Fire Country's northern and eastern borders." The girls exclaimed. They couldn't outrun or fight the pursuers when they landed on the coast with the water citizens. "We cannot guarantee that Konoha will be present to assist us. We must alter our course." Naruto's fingers were tapping on the ship's dashboard as he checked the fuel gauges. "Kumo will never reach the southern coast of the Fire Country. The fuel should be sufficient to get to Wave Country. We'll need to land there."
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.